what's going on here?
Skip, I don't know how you feel about this, but you know this is not going to end well, don't you? You know it.
I agree with that.
Because when the Seth Wickersham story first came out, within an hour, Mr. Kraft, Coach Belichick, Tom Brady all released a joint statement saying we're united as ever. On Sunday on the NFL Network, Mr. Kraft says we're going to do our very best to keep this thing going as long as we possibly can, but we got to get these egos in check. Now, we're united, but now we got egos. So it goes to show me there is a lot more truth than fiction in that story that Seth Wickersham wrote about the upheaval that's going on in New England.
Bingo.
Coach Belichick made it very abundantly clear on Sunday. He got annoyed. He seemed almost annoyed that this was a story. He's like, we're going to a Super Bowl, and you're talking about a thumb? Skip, and it was like, and Tom was like, I was worried about it, and I didn't know because it never happened before, and I'm like, man, this can't be how our season ends on a Wednesday practice. Mm-hmm. And Coach Belichick was like, and there was never a chance that you were not going to play. And see, the thing is, Skip, normally the protocol is, and this is what we know, quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks of Tom Brady's ilk, normally have a very close relationship with the owner. John Elway was once in business with Mr. B. Pat Bowlen, the owner of the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
So there's normally a great relationship. Mm-hmm. But I can assure you that when John pulled his hamstring in '98, John didn't call Mr. B. That was left up to the athletic trainer, Steve Antonopoulos, Greek, or Mike Shanahan. Yep. There's a chain. Coach Belichick strikes me as a guy that he loves the process. The process is me. Mm-hmm. I tell Mr. Kraft, or as he called him, Bob, what's going on.
Correct.
Nobody circumvents me.
Nope.
Even the athletic trainer. He's going to ask Coach Belichick first. Coach Belichick's going to say, okay, go ahead and tell him what's going on. But somehow, Tom Brady circumvented the process, which started the Coach Belichick to get upset with this. And that's all I was saying. And maybe I phrased it wrong. I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't get injured. I was saying the veracity and how injured was he. And Coach Belichick basically confirmed what I've been trying to say, that this was a media circus. He's upset that Tom Brady got this information out there because I don't believe this came from the Patriots. Somebody from Tom Brady's leaked this information because they're not injury. 12 stitches, 12. Why not 10? Why not 8? Why not 13, 14? 12 stitches.
Well, it was a 12-stitch laceration. I don't know. Sometimes there's 16 stitches.
So why not the TB16? Why not the TB8? Oh, I'm just saying, Skip, that's neither here nor there. But I just think the thing is, Coach Belichick is upset. Coach Belichick has been in this position for 18 years. I believe this is the first time that Mr. Kraft has overruled Coach Belichick on any football-related issue.
Agreed.
And he's saying, after my resume, after my background, you're going to question me on this? Why? It all started with he wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, and Mr. Kraft gave him basically an ultimatum. You will do this.
Yep.
Skip, even though this might have been the first time, it's hard, and you know this. You can do something 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, but when you meet resistance, even for the very first time, that's a problem. Why now? Why are you telling me no now? Why are you not trusting my football acumen now? And that rubbed Coach Belichick the wrong way. Tom Brady tries to play it up, and Coach Belichick come right behind him and put both feet on it and stomps it down.
He did.
And that's what he's continued to I don't think this ends well. Now, they can put on all the public face all they want to. They can say we're united as ever, all they want to. But this is not united. Coach Belichick could have easily gone along with it and said, hey, we didn't know it was a wait-and-see process, but he goes out of his way to make sure this is not that serious. It was never that serious. There was never a chance Tom Brady wasn't going to play in this ball game. And so for anybody else to think otherwise is being ridiculous and trying to make more of a situation that needs to be made.
And I'm going to remind you that the flashpoint of this crisis came when it was made public, I guess, by Brady, that he FaceTimed. No, Kraft said it. He said it. He said it on Saturday night, and I'm sure that got immediately back to the head coach, who did not love the fact that the owner is saying publicly on Saturday night on some Patriots Live or something, you know, it's a whatever, some Patriots show, that Tom Brady, his quote-unquote son, FaceTimed him while he was in a restaurant. I think they were in Fort Lauderdale. He was just taking a little winter break from Boston weather. And he takes the FaceTime, and I'm sure at that point, this was Wednesday evening, that he just held his hand up and said, look what I got. And
what did, further. Now, you remember Eric Dixon started right here and said when they was in Israel, Tom Brady will FaceTime Mr. Kraft.
In Israel. Okay? So, Mr. Kraft said that he immediately scrapped the rest of his vacation
I ain't even
plan.
hungry anymore.
Yep. I'm going home. And he didn't take the next flight because he had his own flight, right?
Yes.
Back to Boston, back to Foxborough to check out his son, Tom Brady, just to make sure it was going to be okay.
Probably go over to Tom's house in the middle of the night.
He probably did. So, I agree with you. Bill Belichick lost a power struggle effectively with his quarterback. Bill Belichick intended this year, as you and I talked about all offseason, to be Tom's swan song with the Patriots. Now, Tom could go on and try to end it elsewhere,
correct.
But all of a sudden, Coach Belichick had his own son named Jimmy Garoppolo, who he was treating like a son. I think that kid really got to Belichick.
Yes.
I think he really loved him on and off the field, and still does.
He praised
did not. Oh, did he? Whew. And he did not want to give him up. He picked him in the second round, diamond in the rough. Here we go into one last hurrah with the Patriots for Belichick under Jimmy G. See if he could go win a Super Bowl with Jimmy G, which he clearly thought he could do. But Mr. Kraft said, no, you will trade Jimmy Garoppolo before the deadline. And I'm going to contend, till death do us part, that I think he sabotaged the Patriots going forward. He just gave him away to another guy he likes, a young man named Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Did you like Jimmy Garoppolo for only a second-round pick? Could have gotten a lot more. Sabotaged Mr. Kraft and son going forward. And here we are, and that led to this. So, to me, this is like open warfare. It's between the lines, but it's open warfare. I've never seen anything like this. And I'm surprised more people aren't saying, what is going on here? Because Belichick is coming across to me like a typical Brady hater. And I put quotes around hater, but a little bit like a Shannon Sharp. Not that you're a Brady hater, but you'd be the first to try to discount a little bit, discredit a little bit, try to undercut, try to disqualify just a little bit. Okay, he's gotten enough praise in his career. Let's not heap any more praise on him. That's the way Belichick came across. And the line, the flashpoint line is that Joy read, I think it was more of a media circus than a football crisis. So let's step back for a second. On the eve of the AFC Championship game, the Wednesday practice, a freak accident occurs to the quarterback that most of us agree is the greatest quarterback of all time. He is the biggest reason that you have that you can overcome the Jacksonville defense is Tom Brady, because I don't think Brian Hoyer's going to be able to get that done.
No.
Okay? No. I don't think so, right?
No.
And the freak accident is a laceration that initially looks like a thumb injury that could be ligament damage, it could be badly sprained, it could be fractured, it could be a lot of things, but they dodged that.
Right.
But it was lacerated on the inside of his thumb and required, 10 plus stitches. Let's go with 10 plus. 2. Okay? 10 plus 2. And could we just for a second see the picture of that thumb on Sunday? I just want to get it. Again, I'm not trying to overstate this, but the thumb is clearly swollen. Wouldn't you agree at the base of the thumb it's swollen?
Maybe he got little fat fingers. Maybe he's fat, Joe.
You know what? I don't think Tom Brady has any fat on him at all. His thumb is swollen. And again, I opened the show yesterday. Until you brought it up, I didn't bring it up because it became irrelevant to the game because it worked. But let's think about this. In the sport of football, there is one skill, and that is the accuracy and touch with which you throw a football. It is close as anything in the sport of football, your sport, to an art form.
Yeah.
It requires finesse, right? It requires a delicate sort of grip where everything's in place.
Yeah.
And if anything in that grip is slightly off, if the ball is coming out like a quarter of an inch different than usual, well, 5 yards down the field or 50 yards down the field, it's going to be way off target, right? It's like hitting a golf shot. If you miss it by a tenth of an inch,
It's almost like
going to be 20 yards right.
Like
right?
a pitcher with a blister on his pitching.
Okay, all right, same thing, where it just won't work, and you get discouraged, and certainly under AFC Championship game pressure and under the Jacksonville rush, bad things can happen.
Right.
Because if you do have whatever stitches, 10 plus 12 stitches, if you put your hands under center and you catch it wrong on the bandage that's across it, could it split? Could one of the stitches snap? Could it start to bleed? Could you have a sticky grip because it's bleeding while you're trying to throw, and so the ball's coming out funky? I don't know. It's scary. So it led Tom Brady to say on his radio show, they had like dueling radio shows yesterday, I wasn't sure. I really wasn't. Well, how could he be on Wednesday and Thursday? How could you be sure how you're going to be able to handle a football under pressure with stitches in your hand? And as he said, we were lucky because nothing was broken or there was no ligament damage. But he says it was pretty stressful. I was stressed out. Well, who wouldn't be stressed out? You're a quarterback playing against that defense, and you missed one day of practice, and you're just unsure of your grip. Well, isn't that... Again, I'm not trying to overcredit Tom Brady. I'm not trying to create a new storyline, and oh my God, did you see what he pulled off? I'm just saying the reality was that was a football crisis. Seriously. It's your quarterback.
Well, I think the thing for Tom, what made it scary is because he had never had to deal with anything like this before.
No.
Maybe a sore shoulder, maybe a sore knee, sore ankle.
Yeah.
Those are things that most...
You know how to manage that.
Right. It's the unknown.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how is this going to affect my throwing? If I take that, as you mentioned, if I take the snap, is it going to jar it?
Yeah.
If I get sacked and all of a sudden I forget that it's injured and I put my hand to try to break the fall. So all those things I'm sure played into his mind. But Coach Belichick's like, guys, this wasn't nearly as serious as you and Tom is making.
But it turned out not to be. Right. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. He threw it beautifully.
You know what I think, Skip? Coach Belichick, this is what we know about Coach Belichick. When you come to New England, the Patriot way is Patriots first, teammate second, you're third. Coach Belichick believes that Tom Brady and this injury had taken the place of the team. It was starting to be more of a story than what they had just accomplished. And he's trying to suppress this. He doesn't want anyone. We know Tom's special. We understand that whatever he's given throughout that organization is well deserved. But in Coach Belichick's eyes, in order for him to still maintain that level of credibility, is that I got to treat Tom just like anyone else. And I can't let Tom's thumb be the story over what the team just accomplished.
Okay, I get that. But again, you could at least pay a little cliched lip service to it after the game. What's that?
He said Tom was tough.
Tom's tough. But you could have said, I'm just throwing it out there, you could have said, we were all concerned on Wednesday and Thursday, and we were all very thankful it turned out well. Okay, just something like that, right?
Yeah.
But he just dismissed it out of hand, and you can't, because it's not the kind of thing in football. It's the one thing in football you can't say, suck it up and play. It's the grip on the football. It's as close to, it's as close to art as you can get, because it's a highly refined skill. How many people on the planet can throw a football that way under that kind of pressure? There are like 6 or 8, maybe.
Because if you think about it, Skip, think about there's only 32 teams, and most teams don't have 3. So let's just say there's 75 quarterbacks of 7 billion people in the world do what these guys do, and only a handful, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Shoot it down again.
Shoot it down again. He did not back off. And I'm going to remind everyone, this open warfare, to me, started shortly after the Deflategate allegations were levied by the Indianapolis Colts after that AFC Championship game. Remember that? Because on the Saturday before they took off on Sunday to fly to Phoenix for the Seattle Super Bowl, Bill Belichick, out of nowhere, called his own press conference. Do you remember this? Yeah. By himself, and the message was, don't look at me.
Ask Tom about the football.
Ask my quarterback about the footballs. I don't know anything about footballs. And he even went to this weird Mona Lisa veto reference about my cousin Vinny. Remember? Because she helped win the trial. Right. Because she knew everything about automobiles, right? Everything about engines and transmissions and wheels and everything.
She was great in that movie.
She was great. Well,
Ticking.
She only won the Academy Award for it.
Yep.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
So the point was, he even went to that to say, don't look at me. I'm not like Mona Lisa Vito.
Right.
I don't know everything about cars like she did. And he's talking about football.
Right.
Well, this is a Bill Belichick whose teams practice with soaked footballs to see how they can.
All kinds,
yeah.
right.
Yes, he does.
Right.
Yes, he does. He knows about inflation and deflation. He
So
knows
that-
all about football. He knows as much about footballs as Marissa Tomei's character knew about cars in that movie. I'm sorry, I'm going to call BS on that one.
And Coach Belichick puts his team through any situation because he doesn't want, if it's raining, say, well, the ball was slick. Well, it might be. Well, you practice with it, so
Yeah.
you should be used to it.
Right.
He'll wet the ball, freeze it, because if it's cold in New England, Coach Belichick wants to remove any situation where a player could possibly use the ball was wet, the ball was frozen, this or that, as an excuse. He doesn't like excuses. And what he really detests is someone trying to upstage the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe Tom Brady is not intentionally trying to upstage the team. He had a gash. It was sewn up. He was able to play, and he played well. But that's been more of the story. It's like Tom Brady wasn't big enough that he's going to, 5 Super Bowls. He's 4-time MVP. He's going to probably win another one. He's 40. That wasn't enough. Coach Belichick, like, you guys are just adding the media. You just feeding into this frenzy.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. And every time, Tom, you come out here and try to play it up, I'm going to come right behind you and let the air out of this balloon.
So, bottom line, what is this all a struggle for? Credit. Coach credit, quarterback credit. You and I go back and forth about it, and trust me, those two are going back and forth about it. And it started with Deflategate because Coach Belichick got discredited for Spygate because that was all on him.
Yes.
He got turned in and busted, right? It was all on the head coach.
Right.
So he took a shot. There's some taint on his career because of that.
Some people will never give him the greatest head coach because of that taint.
Right. So when it came to a Deflategate allegation, he wanted the world to know, I'm innocent. Ask him.
Right.
Maybe he knows about deflated footballs because I don't know anything about it. That way, he's going to preserve his legacy, but you can question his legacy. It's classic throw quarterback under bus because he could have said, I got my quarterbacks back. We're in this together, and we don't know anything about it. It wasn't a we, it was an I and him.
For me, Skip, even if you take, so they've been together for 18 years. So even if you split it right down the middle, you take Coach Belichick 9 years going backwards to those 3 Super Bowls, you take the 9 years moving forward.
Yep.
Even if you just take the last 9 years, he wins this Super Bowl, he's still the greatest coach you ever coached in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's notwithstanding the previous 9 years in which he has 3. So even if you want to say those are tainted, okay, take that away.
All right.
9 and 3